Engineering College, Bikaner, and Riyadbara, Patiala campus. So, very good morning. Today, we'll be talking on student engagement and active learning. As we see the scenario today, that there is large-scale expansion has taken place over the last 20 years, resulting there are a number of engineering colleges and polytechnics have come up, and at the same time, the pass out percentage or pass out rate is too much. And this is creating a problem in the employment market. Industry says that the pass outs are not employable because of number of reasons. They say there is no conceptual clarity, means proper learning has not taken place. The other reason is hands-on experience because they are not confident in practical work. If any job is given to them, they are unable to do because they are shallow in the practical side. And the ultimate thing or the focus comes to us, that is there is some gap in our teaching learning process. That is, proper learning is not taking place. So to cater to that, we adopt various strategies to make our teaching learning process effective. For that, we adopt various methods, but we are applying in our institutions. That is lecture method, there's a tutorial, there is assignments, there are practical work, there are workshops, there are laboratory work, there are field visits, there are other head-on experience, but the result is not, which is very much desired. So at the earlier times, it was like that. If the student is not coming up to the mark, we used to say that the student is shallow, or the student has not done the work, or student has not made the right efforts which he should have been. But now the scenario has changed. Now the focus is on our institutions, that we are not doing good or what it should be. So today's talk will be around learning of students. So the assignment given to me is, that is student engagement and active learning. In this, we will be discussing about the teaching learning process, learning, student engagement, active learning, its basic elements, categories, planning, activities, and techniques, and some tips for active learning. So if we focus our thinking, that the central purpose of any educational program or endeavor is to promote learning among the learners. My emphasis will be on the point learning. And what is that? We'll come to that. As we see this diagram, we see there's a teaching learning process. The blue box rectangle is our institution, that is engineering college or polytechnic or any technical institution. There are two arrows shown in pink color, that is input and other is output, and attached to these are resources. And we see that this is an environment, the students with modified behavior, students with initial behavior, means that at the entry level, when the learner comes, they come with certain behavior, means they are 10 plus 2 in case of engineering college and 10 plus with for the polytechnic, and they are processed in our institution through various teaching learning methodologies. We provide them various experiences and the environment, which is society and the other factors which are influencing our teaching learning. So resources, there are different type of resources: physical, human, financial, and information and energy. We are all familiar with these type of resources, that is physical, space, infrastructure, and equipment. Human, that is trained teachers and supporting staff. Financial, recurring and non-recurring. Informational means library and other information, net and energy sources, without which our teaching learning process cannot take place efficiently. So the purpose of education, any type of education, is to develop a person. That is to bring about a desirable change in the behavior of the learners. Here, behavior we mean by the proper learning to take place. It is accomplished by using appropriate teaching strategies, methods, tactics to achieve instructional objectives. For any program, there are set instructional objectives which we earmark in our curriculum, and based on that, we design our syllabus, and accordingly, we take care in our teaching learning process. Because these are the terms which we use invariably, but is teaching. It is a combination of teacher and student activities supported by best available resources to produce atmosphere where the learning can take place. This is the requirement for teaching. And moreover, why we are emphasizing this? Teaching is a high stake game. How? If we take the example of a doctor, suppose he is operating upon a person for a heart surgery, and if there is any mistake, what will be the result? That the patient will die, and the mistake of the doctor will be buried in the grave. The mistake of an engineer is cemented with bricks. हमने दीवार बनाई, दीवार में थोड़ा सा टेढ़ापन आ गया, हमने बीम बनाया या कॉलम बनाया, उसमें थोड़ी सी फिनिश नहीं आई. We will improve upon by adding more cement or bricks on that, and that will be taken care. The mistake of the engineer is cemented in with the bricks. Now we take up the case of a liar. Liar fights for the case. What is the result? Whether the person is hanged or imprisoned or got free, it all depends. But if any mistake is there from the liar point of view, that will be filed in the files. And the mistake of a teacher, that is very much important. That is reflected in the nation because the teachers are the mirror of the nation. So we have to be very careful. Though we say that teaching, it should not be a casual activity, rather it's a very constructed and very important activity because we are playing with the future of our students. Now we have to make our teaching effective. It is only possible if the teacher is an expert, guide, and an excellent organizer. It is not only mechanical that the person goes to the college, delivers his lecture, and his duty finishes. No. In addition to this, he has to be an expert in his area, and he has to be a very good guide and excellent organizer and resourceful also. So the teacher should know and respect the student. That is the requirement of today. Because in the earlier times, it was the duty of the students to respect the teachers. Now the case is little different. We have to respect the student. Must possess a democratic attitude. It is not snubbing a little weak student in the class. Rather, encourage him or provide various ways and means in which that he is encouraged and more learning can take place. And the teacher should be proud to say that this is the student whom I groom. He should be proud of because if he has made concerted efforts, the students rises and scores very good marks and placed in a better good position. Naturally, we should feel proud. Teaching is something that takes place only when learning does. This is our focus. That learning is our focus. If the students are not learning something tangible, concrete, the teacher is not teaching. It's very much clear. No matter what the teacher is doing in his or her class. Ultimately, whatever you teach a student, whether it is through your words, your actions, or just your own example, impression is engraved forever on the students. You must be, you must have observed, and all of us have already, that once we were student and sitting in our class, we used to copy the style of our teacher. There are some teachers who had a very good handwriting. There were some teachers, their dress sense. There were some teachers, their speaking style. There were some teachers, their behavior and affectionate style. So all these things are registered in our mind, and accordingly we have to think what what style or what are the characteristics of good teacher we have to adopt or imbibe. Then we are talking about the teaching learning process. Teaching we have already talked. Learning. It is a process of acquiring and integrating varied forms of knowledge and skills and understanding through a systematized process of instruction of organized experience. It is not haphazard, it is organized experience that the learner may use or apply in later situations. He has been told or taught in the class, but that learned concepts, principles, rules, or any learning that if he applies at a later stage and different situations, he is able to, then we say the learning has taken place under conditions different from those at the time of instruction. Because at the time of instruction, the situation is controlled. But once he is out or at the workplace, the situations and the conditions are different. So if he is able to apply, we say that learning took place and the teaching was proper. It is a process of gaining new knowledge or skill. It must include retention of newly acquired capability or behavior so that it can be displayed at some future time. So the same thing has been explained in different words. It can also be defined as relatively permanent change in the behavior of an individual resulting from experience. This is the exact definition. That is, it is also defined as the relatively permanent change. It is not temporary, it's a permanent change in the behavior of the individual resulting from experience. Again, it's not learning. We say what we teach to a 4-year student, 4-year boy, and to 10-year boy or to 20 years person. The same thing if we are teaching, the learning will be comparatively better in the 20 years or 10 years in comparison to 4 years. This is due to maturation, but this is not the actual learning. Actual learning is that it is a permanent and it is not based on age because the maturation is little different. Behavioral change is brought about by factors like fatigue. Sometimes person is under fatigue, illness, emotional situations, and purely transitory in nature. These are very temporary ones, and when these factors causing change is removed or restored, the behavior may retrieve back or revert back to its original form. Suppose a person is in grief and we go to him or her for some job. His or her reaction is little different in comparison as he or she was earlier when there was no such problem. So hence such changes do not fall under the category of learning. So we must be very particular in saying that it is not due to maturity only. It is a permanent change which has taken place. So now we come to active learning. Learning we could understood. And now what is active learning? There are two things. One is active, other is passive. When we say it is active and when we say it is passive. This term in itself is problematic and sometimes people do not accept this definition because they say that with being passive, learning can take place. They are right too also. So that's why it's a very complex term. So we'll be dealing with this, and students and learning are the center to this activity. So we'll be focusing on students as per their learning needs. In actual, active learning facilitates critical thinking. increased retention, because students have got the tendency to mug up near the examination, unload in the answer sheet, and once they come back, if the same question paper is given to them, I think they are not able to write the same way as they did in their examination because of the retention. It's a short memory. So for retention, the learning has to be there, conceptual clarity has to be there. Then transfer of new information, increased motivation, and improved interpersonal relations. This is the result of active learning. I repeat once again, active learning facilitates critical thinking, increased retention, transfer of new information, increased motivation, and improved interpersonal relations. So, getting clue from this very terms, so we will go in detail. Active learning is a model of instruction that focuses on focusing the responsibility of the learning on learners. Active learning engages students in two aspects: doing the things and thinking about the things they are doing. It is not करने के लिए किया है. No. While they are doing, they are also thinking. Active learning is a process whereby students engage in activities such as reading, writing, discussion, and problem solving that promote analysis, synthesis, and evaluation of class content. So these are the higher order abilities. Cooperative learning, problem-based learning, and the use of case study method and simulations are some of the approaches to promote active learning, which we are not generally adopting. And the emphasis is on that we must adopt these type of activities, which include the synthesis, problem solving, case study methods, and simulation, etc., for promote learning, and that will lead to active learning. Active learning. In active learning, teachers are facilitators rather than one-way providers of information. It is not only that the teacher is speaking or telling or making them understand, it is rather two-way. In addition, there is a difference among individuals with respect to age, sex, intelligence, thinking style. There are individual differences. No, there are how many number of persons are there? Number of personalities are there. There are individual differences. No two are alike. Heterogeneity among learners is increasing day by day. This is the scenario of today, that the heterogeneity is increasing day by day. So need for understanding learner. This is also important. What they actually require. Individuals interpret events in terms of their experience, intelligence, personality, cognitive style, creativity, self-concept, age, gender. They perceive, interpret, and evaluate the same learning event in different ways because of the above given parameters, that is experience, intelligence, personality, cognitive style, creativity, self-concept, age, and gender. These are the these influence on the uh, learner in learning. Therefore, it becomes essential for the teachers to understand the learners and the individual differences for providing relevant and appropriate learning experiences for enhancing learning. There are four basic elements of active learning. That is talking and listening. what we do actually in the class. We talk, teacher talks, and students listen. But does this actually happening? Student is passive. We do not know whether he is listening or not. So we have to make such an arrangement that he is listening to the he understands what the teaching. Then writing. Involve in certain type of writing so that they are involved. Reading. There should be some exercises, some activities in which some reading has to take place and reflection. All these four will be affecting the active learning. But if any of these is missing, then there is some difference in their learning. So in talking, we say it's a lecture method. The teacher has to be very particular that he is not spending much of the time in talking continuously. As we see the learning curve, you might be aware of this. So I draw for you. So there are different categories of activities. Individual, paired activities. There can be certain situations in which the individual activities are available. Then paired activity means it is given to two persons or more. Informal and small groups. Cooperative student projects. Your class will depend upon the size of the class. Now you see that the class size is 120, then there are problems. Then we have to find ways and means how the take place. Your choice will depend upon the size of the class, physical space, objectives, time available, convenience, and many of these active learning strategies can be workshop. In workshop is a place where we can give a particular job to be done by group of students, say 2 students or 4 students. They will be performing their activities and there can be question answers. There is a style of doing the work. Everything will be there, and that is one example, the workshop. But in case of our classroom situation, we have to well or research based and means which the active learning is taking, which is not happening, or if it is happening, it is in a very small shape. Then planning for active learning activity. That is a must. Because if we have to perform any activity, or the students have to perform any activity, then the teacher has to plan that activity in advance. So what these should include: state the objectives of our activity. What will be the outcome of that very activity? That is the foremost. Who will be interacting? Student, teacher, student, group of students, or two groups. We have to think that who will be interacting. When does the activity begin? The activity कब शुरू करें? Right in the morning, once the teacher enters in the class and starts the activity, or after giving some inputs, then the activity starts. This we have to think. When does the activity begin? Will the students write answers or ideas or discuss? क्या ये student they will write answers only or ideas, or they will discuss among themselves? What preparation is needed by the teacher and the student? So these are the various parameters in the planning that before the activity to take place for the active learning, then one must be well prepared. It is a very concerted activity, not a haphazard. Active learning activities. Then class discussion. More effective in small groups settings, it requires the learners to think critically, use logic to evaluate. This is a class discussion. And there are situations that we do not allow any discussion to take place in the class because we are under the pressure to cover the syllabus. But we must think that if the learning is not taking place, it is going over their head, our activity will remain futile. So let us involve this style of active learning in our teaching learning process so that the learners are allowed to think critically, understand, use logic to evaluate. It helps students to explore diversity, increases intellectual ability, develops habit of collaborative learning. So it is not individualized because once the students learn, they may share with their peer groups, their classmates, with their teachers, with their seniors for the clarifying of their doubts and to think that will store in their core of heart, that is mind. This is possible if we allow them to uh, take to discussion to take place in the class. A think, pair and share activity. Pair and share. Pair means जोड़ा. दो स्टूडेंट को सोचने के लिए हम कोई भी उनको चीज बता देते हैं. They may share and respond. It is not only that keep silent, remain in isolation, and ultimately let's learn. This activity is useful in situations where the learner can identify and relate what they already know. Once we start a topic, we before the start we give a small question to think, and it is required for the teacher also to review what they already know or at what level they understand. This activity is useful in situations where a learner can identify and relate what they already know. Preparation is the key. Why this line is separate? For this, we have to prepare in advance. If implemented properly, it enables the instructor to organize the content and helps in making class more interactive and saves time, keeps students prepared. So this will help the teacher also, that if the students are involved, they learn better, and they can identify and relate what they already know, and it becomes easier for the teacher to move forward. A learning cell. तो इसका क्या मतलब है? Pair of students study and learn together. Students ask and answer the questions. वहाँ पे हम ग्रुप फॉर्म कर देते हैं. The students will share their experiences among themselves. They will ask questions to another fellow, and he will ask for answer, or vice versa. While preparing the assignment, they will write down questions. In the next class, the teacher will put students randomly. Students ask questions, and the teacher provides feedback to groups and answers the questions. This is the involvement of students in various activities in classroom situation. A short written exercise. शॉर्ट रिटन एक्सरसाइज, उनको 2-4 मिनट के लिए एक एक्सरसाइज दे दो, कुछ लिखने के लिए दे दो. तो उसको जनरली फेमस है 1 मिनट पेपर. तो उसमें करना क्या है कि उनको कोई क्वेश्चन दे दो, वो 1-2 मिनट में वो कुछ भी उनको आता है वो दे विल राइट डाउन. उससे क्या होगा कि दे विल इन लाइन विद व्हाट यू दैट एक कोलैबोरेटिव लर्निंग ग्रुप. There can be, we can form a collaborative learning group. 3 to 6 students work together. The student debate. We can organize a student debate in which there will be questions, there will be answers, there will be discussion, and the debate will be there. And the facilitator, teacher is a facilitator. He will sum up the whole issue to what is the exact answer to that very question. Students gather information, provide their views. There can be independent, diverse views also. A class game. This is not happening in our situation. At the school level, these games can be there for the better learning. A reaction to video. Now, in the age of this ICT and the IT age, the videos and good clips are available. What we can do? Before we have to give in, show them a video. As we all know, the students or anybody is desirous to see the movie. So, before we show them the video, what we should do? We should put some questions, let them write them, and we tell them that they may see this video very critically and answer these questions. Now they will be absorbed, and some learning will take place, and out of which they will be replying to the already supplied questions. Learning by teaching. This is another way. Give students small topics, or give them little outline of the topics and ask them that they have to teach. Now the situation is totally different. Now the students are active, teachers is comparatively passive. The students will come prepared. He will deliver the lecture in the classroom in front of the peers. And what will happen? He will be preparing in such a way that there will be probable questions, and he is likely to face those questions. Now he will be preparing from various angles, and ultimately he will have deep insight of that very topic, and is ready to answer a particular question. And by doing this, he becomes confident in different ways: communication, confidence, subject matter, and presentation, and this becomes a part of the active learning. And now, once he is teaching, he is clear about the various concepts and principles and various applications if there is a requirement. Now, teacher is also there. He will supplement if there is any gap or something else is also desired. He will supplement. In this way, there will be more learning in comparison to the earlier styles. That is, students are passive and the teacher. There are various active learning techniques. Ice breakers. इसका मतलब क्या है? बर्फ तोड़नी. There are mental blocks. Students are rigid in learning. So we have to give them various exposures, various types, so that there is no barrier in their life. They have got their own expectations. There are individual and then there are think, pair and share. Think, pair and share. What we do, make pairs, let them think and share. To answer a question posed during the discussion, they can share among themselves and give the requisite answer. Question and answer pairs, we can give 5 to 10 minutes. Let them deliberate and come up with the answers from one group, another group. Then there is a crisscross. If they match, okay. If it doesn't match, there can be new answers. And the teacher can supplement all these. Respond to presentation. A pose question to B and B replies, and vice versa. Again, B raises a question, A replies. Then the leader can bridge the discussion. So we can make one leader among the groups and he will decide what is the right answer. 1 minute paper free writing. Already told that we can give a small question which can be done in 1 to 2 minutes. That is not more than 5 minutes in any case. That's a free writing, and that will result into knowing that the mind of the persons. Then focused listening. We must know whether they are learning or not. Listening to video or speaker useful during the discussion. Focused learning. Scenario or case studies. They are shown some scenario, video or case studies. They will read, assimilate, understand. With this, they will provide some example of concepts, theories, issues, topic to discuss and analyze. In this case of case study method, the various items, concept, theory, issue, topic, and discuss and to analyze. This is possible. Then the round table. As we say that the meetings and the discussions taking place around the table, it is the same that give them the opportunity to face each other in a round table. Then corners. Let there be four corners of a room. Each group is given some questions and they will be working at one corner of the room. The another group is working in another corner of the room. And once they do their job, they come forward and deliver. So this is another technique. Problem-based learning. This is the requirement of the day. That if we switch over to this style of learning, that's problem-based learning, that student is given some problem, let him or her independently solve this, just like as we do in our thesis work. That what is the problem, what are the causes, what can be possible solutions. So based on this style, there can be active learning. Present problem based on authentic situation to determine cause. What we mean by this, that is the problem which we give to them, that is actual or authentic. It is not hypothetical. Only then they will be able to find out the causes. And two strategies. इसका मतलब क्या है कि 10 मिनट बोलो, 2 मिनट स्पोर्ट्स पे दो, 10 मिनट टीचर लेक्चर देने के बाद उससे कोई क्वेश्चन या फिर तो वो क्लियर कर ले. It should not be continuous. So that is the purpose of and two strategy. Share for 10 minutes and stop for 2 minutes. So that the people, the students who are astray, they will also come back. Otherwise, after 1 hour, we do not know whether they were astray or they were in the class. Shared brainstorming. There can be brainstorming session, and if it is shared, some new things will become, new solutions can be there. Then note check. While there is a delivery of lectures, they are taking notes. Each sheet has different questions to answer by group, rotate and summarize. There can be different set of questions and to be answered by the group. Suppose we have given different sheets, or we have got a sheet on which we have got different questions. Now we give to one group, they give their answers. Now give the same sheet to another group, they will add to those answers or they will object it. So in this way, by rotation, the whole view of the group will be there and ultimately we can summarize. Then background knowledge group. So we have to see what the learners already know. So that is the another active learning technique, that we must know the background of the students. As we know, the people from the rural background, people from the urban background, people from socio-economic status. If they are higher, there is a difference in learning also. And there are different set of people who are coming from, say, public schools, and they're coming from government schools, and with their backgrounds, all these matter in their learning. So we have to make a pro in their knowledge component. So the teacher will have to use appropriate variations in their teaching styles to make their teaching effective. That is the ultimate. We have to adopt or make variations in our teaching styles so that more learning. So this was little about this active learning, and there are some tips which we can keep in mind about the active learning. The first one is for the teacher, that is be creative. If the teacher is creative, naturally he will require that his students are also active. They must invent new strategies for teaching. Start small and be brief. शुरू के वक्त वो in low की start करें, then they must gear up and be brief in the start. Develop a plan for active learning activity. they must do a proper planning for doing this active learning. Then, once they make some planning, they must try it out, and they may also consult their colleagues also that I have made this plan. What is your opinion? And if there is any variation, they can modify the same again. Start from the first day of the class. This is very much important. मान लीजिए कि कॉलेज लगा, पहले दिन में टीचर नहीं आया, the students will think casually, but the teacher has to be very particular on the very first day, and the students will also become active and perform well. Request students to vary their seats. You will ask, what is the need? We know that there is a human behavior, interpersonal relations, team building, all these various general skills, these are developed in the college settings also. So what we should do, class is sitting, we can make the one set of students to another side and others on the other side and let them change their seats. It should not be always sitting at a particular seat. And moreover, when we have to make pairs, we do grouping. What we do, जो लोग तो उनके फेवरेट हैं उनका ग्रुप लाके बनाते हैं. जनरली हम ग्रुप कैसे बनाते हैं? जो हॉरिजॉन्टल लेफ्ट और राइट में बैठे हैं उनके लिए. मेक पेयर्स लाइक जो पहले बैठा उसके पिछले वाला उसका मेट बना. सपोज third person from the left and the third person from the in the second row, मतलब front and back. Let them group like this. In this way, there will be heterogeneity in the groups, and they will interact and they will learn from each other. Use questions from class activities and discussion. क्वेश्चन वही पूछिए जो क्लास में हमने डील की. ये नहीं है कि पढ़ाया कुछ और है, सवाल कुछ और पूछ लिया. उससे क्या होगा? The student will become demotivated and they will shirk to answer because they are not sure. Once the same question is asked, what has been read in the class on the same topic or related to the same topic, then probably they are motivated and will answer the question. Negotiate is signal. कहने का मतलब क्या है कि teacher is not shout for making a silence. He should give only a small signal, and the students can keep up. That is a requirement. That only with a signal. Randomly call on pair and shape. It should not be a random plan कि आज ये दो लोग ये काम करें, आज ये दो या चार लोग मिलके ये वाली एक्टिविटी करें. So it should be randomly. So plan your activities or learning activities with some consultation of expert or colleague also. Then continue learning through workshops and other practices. So if we keep all small tips in our mind, we can make our teaching learning effective. And by involving these techniques of active learning, we can certainly improve the learning of students. मेरे पास एक ही चीज बची. Thank you all for the patient listening. So any question?